Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. Today's guest is Amy Brown. She is the world champion in the 45 to 49 age group and recently lined up on the Americas Regional and the Elite 15 race alongside her partner, Anne Marie McNiven. We are super excited to delve more into Amy's journey, find out about her both as an athlete and a mother juggling it all. So, welcome to the podcast, Amy.
Thank you. I'm really honored to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh no, we appreciate your time. Maybe just to start us off, you could let us know a bit more about your background. And we've been following you on Instagram, but it would be cool to know like where you kind of came from and how you entered the HYROX space.
So essentially like I've been a runner pretty much all my life. Like since elementary school. I was always like really shy. So like running like fit me perfectly because it's kind of like a solitary sport, but I was also pretty good at it. So it kind of like gave me confidence in like a place where like I felt like I belonged. But I feel like in high school, like I've always been hard on myself. Like I was so hard on myself then, and like I kind of hit that like era that I think a lot of females hit where they go through puberty and they see like a dip in their performance, and like my performance kind of got stagnant, and I kind of felt like I got a bit burnt out. And so after high school, I had opportunities to run in college, but I kind of like quit for a little while, went through like a little party phase in my life, and then, I started having babies, and after my daughter, I decided I needed to like start doing something for me. And so that's when I started getting back into running, and like at first it was just for like stress relief and just to have that time for myself. And I would say maybe like 3 or 4 years later, on a whim, I decided to do like a half marathon. And like after I finished that, it was just like there was no turning back. I was like, okay, next year I'm doing the marathon. And I got completely hooked on the marathon. And I think it was like after my second marathon, I had a breakthrough race. I ran like a 3:14, and I got it in my head, okay, I'm gonna chase a sub 3 hour marathon. And I went on this journey for I think it was like 5 years, and several marathons later, like I actually never hit that goal. Um I ran a 3:04 in Boston and then like a 3:05 at the Dallas Marathon. And then for a while, like I guess like how HYROX got involved here. I started working with a trainer in like I think it was 2021. I injured my hamstring, so I started working with a trainer who um works with a CrossFit gym, and I was just working with him one on one to get stronger for running. And I think it was like 2022 or 2021 when he brought up HYROX, but like I am so like dead set on my goals. So like I didn't want anything to do with like anything else at the time, but like he kept bugging me. So it was 2024, I think, and I finally was like, okay, I'll just try it. And there was a local competition, and I just like entered it on a whim, and I ended up winning that competition. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I have to do this. And I had one more marathon to run before I did my first HYROX, and I had it set in my head that was going to be my sub three. I was going to like lay that journey to rest, and then I was going to move on to something else. But it was a really hot day that day on that marathon, and I was like so far from my goal that day and just like completely crushed. But I was like, okay, I have to try this HYROX thing. And New York, I did an open for the first one, just to like get my feet wet and see how the whole thing went. But I remember like walking into like the start line, like I've always felt like bigger and more muscular than like the women of my ability, like when I'd line up for marathons. So like I remember like walking into my first High Rocks, like, and thinking, oh my gosh, like I feel like I really belong here. And I just had so much fun in that race. Like I made so many mistakes in that race, but I just like fell in love with it right away. I think I placed third overall in the open, or it may have been fourth. And I like at that time I was in like the 40 to 44 age group range. Those women like crushed it. Like I think
Mm.
three of us were like in the top four that day. So I like ended up placing third, but I was like, okay, if I go back, I'm doing a pro. Like I just wanted to go straight to the pro. And so like I took like that summer to prepare for my first pro race, which was in Toronto. Um, and I think it's then when I was like, okay, I think I'm done running marathons for a while. Like I want this to be my main focus. And so I turned 45 actually the April of that next year. And I thought to myself, well, my big goal was like, can I win the world championship? And I've been like so disappointed through my marathon journey that I just like didn't want to believe that that could even be true. So yeah, so when I won, it was just like it was such an amazing experience. And I've just had so much fun training for HYROX because I've always loved the strength aspect. But I also like love running. Like running is my first love. So it just kind of like bled those two things together. And so like the training is just so much more fun and there's so much more variety and it's like not the same thing every day. So it's been quite an awesome journey. So
Yeah,
Mm.
I mean, it's really cool. Like you obviously kind of like go after a goal. You have a goal and then you like go for it and like go all in on it. And like, have
yeah.
you enjoyed like you say the community around like because HYROX is a lot more, I guess, like as much as you can do a solo race, like you are racing with other people and like there's quite a big HYROX community. They pride themselves in that. Have you enjoyed that part of it? As opposed to like the kind of solo running journey?
Yeah, I think though, like I still train by myself a lot, so I still feel like, and it's funny because like when you're like, I guess when you're like an introvert, like you love that, but you still also crave community. So like, unfortunately I train by myself a lot, but like just running my coaching business and having my athletes and just like building like this community around myself, it's just like priceless. I love it. And I think going to HYROX competitions is just even more fun because like a marathon, everyone's like spread out, but like HYROX, like you're all in there. And like even like when you bring your family and stuff, like they can see you during like the entire race. So, but yeah, love the
Yeah,
community around it. And everyone in the sport is like badass and like, they're all like working so freaking hard and just like it's really awesome.
Yeah, so true. Can I take you back to when you were younger doing your running? What kind of running did you do? Was it track or cross country?
I was cross country and track, but like I was likely the only one of like just a couple that would do like the 2 miler
Oh,
in the track. Like I feel like I love the longer distance stuff because it's more mind over physical. But I think like if I were to like I think like my specialty would probably be more in like 5K, 10K, maybe even like the 10 miler is probably one of my best distances, but just something about like the marathon and like the longer distances that I feel like I'm drawn towards that.
fair. Yeah, no, fair. And do you think it's helped you in HYROX? How do you think the running's translated? Did you?
For sure. It's so mental. And I think when you have such a robust aerobic capacity, it like allows your body to be able to like recover between the stations. Like physiologically, I think you can still come off of that sled and like still be able to like push hard. So yeah, like the distance running, I think is uh, like the foundation that really helps me be successful in high rocks and then just having like that basic strength foundation too. So I think there's so many moving pieces to it. Um, but yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Do you find a high rocks race like quite short? Like if you know, used to doing a marathon, that's like
Mm.
you said 3:04, 3:05, and then like you
Yeah.
know, running a high rocks in like just over an hour. Like, do you find it gets
Yeah.
too quick?
My first one, it was like, because I was used to doing marathons, like running 3 hours and just like being in pain for like so long. And like my first race, I didn't even like know how to pace the runs. Like I think I've learned that actually you gotta like push if you have that foundation, you gotta be able to like actually push the runs. But like I was just like trying to get information from everywhere to figure out like how do I pace this? What like kind of strategy do I have? And I think I actually held back a little too much in that first open race I did, but I can remember finishing like, is that it? Like there's nothing more? Like,
When most people finish the wall balls and go, thank God, you're like, what's next?
yeah. So I've really like tapped into like just really like going hard the whole time. And my pro race, I will say, when I finished that first pro race, I was like, oh my gosh, like I gave everything I had. Like, and that was like the feeling I think I was looking for out of my first race. But yeah, the pro division is just like it's a whole different ball game. Or it's that I just didn't pace that first. I didn't push hard enough maybe in that first open. But yeah.
Mm. Yeah.
So what go on, no. What does your training look like now that you train for high rocks? You know, I imagine your mileage is dropped quite a bit since
Yeah.
training for a
I
marathon.
still run a lot. And mainly like there are like some days where I have to be like, okay, you don't need to run anymore because I do love it so much. Like I'm like totally someone that's like, just let me run in zone two like every day, all day. I'll be so happy. But I usually run like I try to like drop my mileage down a bit as I get like the intensity increases as I get like closer to the race. So right now I'm like sitting at about like 40, maybe 50 miles some weeks, but as Worlds gets closer, that's probably going to come down because the intensity of my training is coming up. But usually like I have two harder like HYROX conditioning sessions in my week. I run that 40 like to 50 miles. A lot of it is easy miles. I do like one quality run session. I was doing two, but I had some issues with my lower back. And so I ended up replacing one of my quality run sessions with more of just like an erg session. I've actually really enjoyed getting on the bike, which I've never done that before in my training. But as I get older too, like I have to find these other modalities to like because running is like such a repetitive stress. So I think it's been really helpful this training cycle. And then usually I have like a dedicated like strength day also weaved into there. And always like one longer run. A lot of my long runs are like easy pace though. So
Mm. It's so funny, isn't it? Runners saying that they got on the bike because you know how much a runner and a hardcore runner for years. If you're on a bike, you're probably injured. Like,
yeah.
go and
I,
avoid
I
the
have
bike.
so yeah, I have so many friends that are like Ironmans and like triathletes and like I just never fallen in love with the bike, but I'm starting to
Mm.
actually like it because I feel like I was kind of forced to like use it. So
Yeah. And how about the ergs? So you said you did some strength training and stuff before you got into high rocks with your coach at the CrossFit gym. Did you use many ergs and had you done much of the like the sleds and the exercises that were in high rocks, or was that like kind of
yeah.
fresh to
So
you, keeping you?
yeah, I would say like because my strength coach came from a CrossFit background,
Mm.
like I would touch that stuff like here and there. I he would always like usually work in like a monostructural piece like after my strength session, so like a short like high intensity piece which would a lot of times include like the ergs like the rowing or the skiing, but like no more than like a couple days a week and like for not long periods of time. So like I did have like exposure to like the ergs, and just like wall balls every once in a while. That's not really, that was something that I really had to work on to get better at. Every once in a while we would pull out the sleds, but it was just mainly like strength training with a little bit of intensity. But I do feel grateful because I don't think I would have stepped into HYROX where I was at without that like 3 years of working with him and just like the exposure to that kind of stuff. So I think that's kind of like what maybe set me apart from just a regular marathoner just doing basic strength training, coming into the sport. So
Yeah, yeah, that's fair. And then can we take your HYROX journey back to World Champs last year in Chicago then? And how you were
yeah.
feeling leading up to it? Did you set your sights on becoming world champion and think you can do it? Or were you like, I'm just going to go out there and try my best? Did you feel great rocking up? Talk us through Chicago last year and
Yeah.
becoming world champion.
So well, and I'm sure you guys know, like, whenever you're super competitive, like, you're always like looking at stats. And that's part of what I love about HYROX is like, you can look up anyone's name and like see where they're at. You can see like the listing. And so I knew that I was turning 45. So I knew like that I think my first race at 45, I had like one of the second or third fastest times in the division. So like I knew that I had a chance to win. But I also didn't want to get my hopes up because I'd been crushed so many times in the marathon. And I'm like, but I definitely had it in my mind. Like I think it was like December. I was like, okay, that's my big goal. I'm gonna go and try to win this world championship. And um yeah, so I just went out there and I think what's nice about the championships, like you're actually in the corral and you're racing the people you're racing, whereas like a regular HYROX race, like you don't know, like you might know who's in your division, but everybody's kind of like in their own race. So um yeah, I just remember the sleds there were like insane. Um but yeah, it was just it was an amazing feeling. Like I've never won something that big in my life, and it was almost anticlimactic. Like through that period of time, like I knew I had to work so much like on my confidence and just like believing in myself. So when I finished the race, it was like I'd worked so hard on that part of my mental aspect that it was like it didn't change anything. Like I was still proud of myself, and I didn't need to win. And I think that's what it taught me is like I didn't need to win to be like proud of myself. But yeah, it was just an amazing experience. And it was so nice that it was in the US because like all the travel and everything, like going to Sweden this year, I'm a little anxious about like the time zone change and like all that and like how that's going to affect me physically. But
Yeah, no, it's a huge achievement, and it's like it's
thank you.
awesome that you did it. Yeah, on home soil as well. Is your aim to try and defend your title in
Yes.
Sweden?
Yeah, but like there's some women that aged up this year that are just like total powerhouses. So I'm like, I put so much pressure on myself. So I'm like trying not to get in my head about it and just be like, you're just gonna show up and give the best that you have for the day. And if
Yeah.
that's enough to win, that's enough to win. And I'm actually like kind of excited that there's more competition because I know better competition always like brings the best out in us. So I think it'll push me to be even better for myself. Like whereas last year, like I kind of was leading the race the whole time. So I think it'll be good like if I have people out there to chase because that'll only make me better. So
Yeah.
I'm actually more excited about my doubles race.
Yeah.
I
I
feel
was
like
just
there's less
about to ask.
pressure. Yeah, when it's two of us, but yeah.
Yeah. So can we touch on the doubles side of things? So you
Yeah.
obviously raced in the America regionals with your partner,
Anne Marie. How was that experience? Do you enjoy the doubles racing, being used to solo racing? And can you just talk us through it a little bit?
Yes, I absolutely love the doubles racing. Like I've mentioned, like I've been like a runner all my life, so it's always just like you out there, and then getting to experience like being part of a team is it's just amazing. That race in DC was so awesome. Like that was probably one of the best races I've ever felt. And I don't know if it was just because of the experience of being out there. Like, you have like the whole course to yourself. There's not like tons of people out there, like who you're chasing. And just it being the actual Elite 15 regional, like, I had a really good day that day. And yeah, Anne is like so awesome. We were kind of like two of the opposite. She's more of like a sprinter speed and I'm more of like the endurance athlete, but I think when you bring us together, like we make a really good team. But we kind of like had a mishap with the wall balls. So there's definitely like things we need to work on, but it was just overall like such an amazing experience. And you're always like so hard on yourself. Like we really wanted to gun for like that top like five. And I think we ended up seventh because we lost like two places actually in the wall balls. But yeah, we're just gonna come back stronger next time. So I actually cannot wait for like the fall season because I have more doubles races planned for that season than solo races. But
Yeah, fair. And have you like changed your training up before Worlds to look at wall balls specifically, or?
yeah, like there's a big focus on wall balls all the time in my training because I suck so bad at them. I mean, I don't like I've had some decent times on them, but like sometimes I just get there and like I just fall apart. So yeah, my trainer is always like incorporating different strategies into my training to try to like really just like tomorrow I have a session that's basically bike and wall balls.
Oh,
So
at least you like
yeah.
the bike now, otherwise that could be terrible.
Yeah.
And did you and Anne know each other before, or how did the doubles pairing come about?
So I think she must have started following me on Instagram, and I did Boston Solo Pro and she introduced herself to me that day, and I got first and she got second. We were like on the podium together, and she said she brought up that she wanted to race. And I think we were both kind of like looking at like what is the world record? Can we beat it? And so I actually went to Chicago to support my athletes. I didn't actually race there, but I went there to support my athletes. And like I watched her race and like I was like, okay, I have to grab her and I have to tell her, let's do this. So it was then that we decided we were gonna race together in Phoenix. And yeah, I think we did break the world record at the time in Phoenix. And we beat our time in DC, but I guess the Elite 15 races they don't count towards age group world records, but so someone beat our time since then, so we have to get it back. But
Oh, I love that though, because it's like you guys found each other from HYROX, like racing,
yeah,
being on the podium together to then team up is like really cool. Do you
yeah,
get an opportunity to train together at all, or is it more just on race day, planning your
yeah.
strategy?
Yeah, it was more just like we did a couple calls like this just to like go over our strategy. And I think we both kind of like researched each other's results to kind of like try to figure out what the best strategy was. Unfortunately, she lives near Chicago, and I live near Pittsburgh in Pennsylvania. So we keep saying like if we can make it work, like we're gonna like meet between somewhere in Ohio and train. But we both have like kids and families, and so it's kind of difficult logistically to get together. But I hope that one day we can. Maybe in the summer before our first fall race, we'll be able to get a couple training sessions in together.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And then touching on worlds, are you planning to go early, or what's your plan
I
to?
do. I think I'm gonna fly Tuesday night, which will get me there Wednesday morning. I think that's my plan. I would have liked to have come even earlier. It's just I have only so much PTO time to use, but I think a day, because that'll give me like 2 days to kind of readjust, I guess. Because my solo race is on Friday and then the doubles race is on Saturday.
Yeah.
And have you done much back-to-back racing like that? Like, have you
I
done?
have. I've done quite a few like solo and then doubles racing, or a
Okay.
couple weekends where I've done a couple doubles before. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that depends on like the volume of running and like just the volume in your training overall, whether you can handle like two back to back. And I find like I don't know about you guys, but like it's such an adrenaline dump, like that I don't sleep the night after any race, but like somehow like the next day if I have another race, the adrenaline just like takes over again. So I feel like I've done okay doing back to back races. So
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? It's the lack of sleep
I
sometimes.
know it's
um,
like, and then just some kind of energy and adrenaline just comes from nowhere, and you're like, I don't know if it's just getting in that start tunnel, something happens, and you suddenly find another
yeah.
view, and off you
Yeah,
go.
it's like where did this come from? Like it's the magic of race day, I guess, right?
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah,
then you've touched a couple of times on being a mum. And I know like on your Instagram you talked about like juggling it all and like fitting training in with life and balancing
Yeah.
everything. How do you balance everything? How do you get your training in? How do you obviously do your job as a coach and also train to compete? What does life look like for you? What's a typical week? How do you do it?
Yeah, it's so hard. I have to say, like, it was a bit harder when my kids were younger, but as they get older, like, they don't need you as much anymore. So I've found like it's gotten a lot easier like over the last few years, but like it's always comes down to like if you want something bad enough, you like have to prioritize it. When they were younger, I would get up like super early in the morning so I could get home and still like help with like the morning daily activities. And I think like now it's just like they're all older and like they don't like need me, and like I actually have more time to dedicate for my training. So yeah, it just comes down to like if you want something bad enough, you find a way to make it work. So however I have to get my training in, like I get it in, like, and I just don't make excuses for myself. But this stage of life has been kind of interesting, because it's like my daughter, she'll be graduating this year, going off to college, like, so I do have like all that going on too. And I think like there's an aspect of like mentally balancing it all too. And I think a lot of times like women that are like me that are constantly pushing, 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 like we don't take a step back and like see like how much we're actually doing, like, and it can get a little overwhelming at times, but yeah.
yeah, no, absolutely. And kind of on that, you mentioned earlier about, like being a slightly older athlete and, a bit less impact with the running. Is there any other things you do in particular to help with that recovery? Like, especially being so busy trying to fit training in, it can be hard to, I guess, warm up properly, cool down, all that sort of thing. Have you got any
Yeah.
tips and tricks or hacks for anyone else?
Yeah, sleep. 100% sleep. As I've gotten older, like when I was like even in my like late 30s, I think I could get away with like getting 5 hours of sleep and get up and go do a hard training session, but not now. No, sleep would be my number one hack. Like I aim to get like 8 to 10 hours of sleep every night. Like, and if I don't get that, like I definitely feel it in my training sessions more than ever. I would say I've told someone the other day, I'm like, I still felt like I was in my prime when I was like in my early like 40s, like 41 to like 43. I think it's been like over this last year, 2 years that I've actually really felt it. And I think it just comes down to I can't get away with being like I guess like haphazard about my training. Like I can't get away with just like doing too much. Like I actually have to be smart about my training now. So that means like taking recovery days and not feeling guilty about them. It means like if I have something that's bothering me a little bit, instead of like pushing through, like I just take a day off or I back off my running and adjust my plan. And as someone that's so type A and like wants to go, go, go and like never stop, like that's been like it's a work in progress for me, but I also think it's an opportunity for me to grow and like and actually just like I guess take a step back and be like and trust myself, like trust my training and my progress rather than thinking like I'm gonna miss out on training or I'm not gonna get better because I'm missing this one session. But yeah, it's been quite a journey over the last couple years because our bodies do change, and I think it's something that I have always not wanted to admit. Like, don't tell me I'm too old to do this. Like, I'm gonna do it no matter what. But you definitely have to take care of yourself physically. But yeah, just back to sleep. Just get good sleep. That would be my best recommendation.
Yeah, fair. And then on your Instagram a lot, you talk about like training like an elite athlete and training with purpose rather than just like training to get tired or just have a good sweat or just, training for
Yeah.
training's sake, I guess, like having a plan and setting it. Is that like, I'm guessing it seems like quite a passion of yours to try and get people to train the way is to get the best result.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think like a lot of it comes back to like I've been burnt out myself before, but like I have a lot of athletes that come to me that are just burnt out in training. Like they're starting to dread their sessions, they're not feeling good. And I think HYROX we're gonna see a lot of that because it's so hard and it's so intense. And if you don't balance your week out properly, I mean, you can easily get yourself burn out. And the worst part about that is like your progress will stall. So for me, it's really about like explaining to the athlete like the intention behind the session. Like we're not going hard every single day because that's the easiest way to burn yourself out. And I have a lot of people come to me and they're like, I'm training like HYROX conditioning sessions like 6 days a week. And I'm like, no, that's not how we're gonna do it here. We want to make sure like we place those harder sessions strategically in your week so that you can show up to them fresh and like actually like crush the workout. And just like I find a lot of people too, like even just with the running, like they're running their easy runs like too hard. Like you really need to run your easy runs easy so that you can show up for like your harder sessions and actually execute on those days. So it's really about like the intention and the purpose of each workout and then like balancing that in the week so that you're actually getting better and you're actually like feeling good when you're training. And that's a big part of like how I coach my athletes.
Yeah, I mean, it's such an important message, and I do think like with HYROX being such a new sport and at a high intensity, we are seeing a lot of people like coming into it or like getting into fitness and getting into running and HYROX and then just doing HYROX
Yeah.
all the time. Like everything is
Yeah.
like HYROX, and then that's a lot of high intensity training that needs to be like balanced out and supported by other things. So yeah, I think it's a really important
Yeah.
point to
And
bring up.
really like periodizing your training too. Like you can't be like prepping the same all year round. Like you can't be in like this huge high intensity block like for the whole year. You have to like space that out appropriately in your season. So you're giving your body a rest too. But
Yeah, definitely. Do you have any, like for yourself, do you have any different approaches in training for the doubles and the solos, or are you like just aiming to be like the best all-rounded athlete and that like both will complement each other?
I think a lot of times because I'm actually training for both solo races kind of like at the same time as doubles races, like my training's a little bit more well-rounded to suit both of those. But I think like for the doubles races specifically, a lot of like the more instead of like the long AMRAPs or like the endurance WODs, like a lot of the more like high intensity, more like interval training translates better to the doubles race, I've found. But I also still have that even when I'm prepping for my pro races. So I think it kind of like sets me up to like be able to really like flip the script either way.
So do you have three like top tips from everyone you've coached and like your experience that you could share with maybe some of our listeners that might be interested in kind of structuring their training, or any advice to get the best out of themselves for HYROX?
Yeah, I mean, I would say like the purpose isn't to go like red line every workout every single day. And really focus on the intention of the session. So if it's like a threshold session, we're looking for comfortably hard. We're not looking for you to like total max out effort. And I think a lot of people like let their ego get in the way, just like let your fitness build like naturally. And again, I one of my biggest tips is always like if it's an easy zone two session, be honest with yourself and really take it easy. Because you'll be able to show up for like the harder sessions with so much more energy and actually be able to like execute those sessions. Yeah, kind of just repeating back on what I had said before.
Yeah, but no, it's really good to like highlight it and just get that snippet because it's so true. And I think, yeah, it's a point that people like new into the sport like might not realize is so important. So
Yeah.
Do you train with heart rate data, or any do you use any kind of data? Or...
I do train with my Garmin. I don't get like stuck on like I feel like at the end of the day it comes down to effort and I think sometimes these things don't always work properly. But I really am in tune to like kind of like if I'm running easy, like I do pay attention to where my heart rate is so that I know like I'm being honest with myself, but I don't think it's like the be all end all. I think it's a good tool to like check yourself with, especially if you're someone that's like maybe newer to running and doesn't really know like what easy feels like, or you just like really need to keep yourself honest. Like I think there was a time where I used to myself push too hard on every run day. And so that's when I actually like started using my heart rate. Okay, well, I'm just going to keep my heart rate in that like zone two. And once I like knew that effort, then it's really like the effort that I think that matters the most, but you can use those metrics to kind of help you um find that right effort, if that makes sense. But
Yeah, I think, yeah, I agree. I quite like heart rate training. I think just even,
yeah,
yeah, I mean, you can go off. I know sometimes you feel better than others. Like some days you feel better than others, and especially as females, some days you can feel like on top
yeah,
of the world, and some days you feel awful. So you have to take it with a pinch of salt. But yeah, I do think it's quite interesting to use it as a metric, especially like a lot of runners use it, don't they? So coming from running into high rocks, I just wondered if you
yeah.
still used it for your training.
And I think that people get too stuck on like pace. Like if I am your coach and I give you a pace target, like some days that's going to feel way harder than it should. And if you're pushing harder to hit that pace, then you're defeating the purpose of the entire session. So like it always comes back down to, okay, well maybe that day you do need to like kind of pay attention to where your heart rate is because I'd rather you actually be in the right heart rate zone. But at the end of the day, like over everything else, I'd rather you like have the right effort for that session, above heart rate and above pace and above all that. So if that makes sense, but
Yeah, it totally
yeah.
makes sense. Because I think like the intention for the session, I guess, as a coach is like the coach's responsibility to
yeah,
like ensure that the individual knows what they're trying to achieve from that session so they can
yeah,
try, like you said, look at effort and yeah, maybe how they feel on that day. And do you do anything, do you take into account anything like the menstrual cycle for females or anything specific to females? Or do, you
I've
know?
never really like backed off my training. Like I've always just kept it the same way it is. I think just recognizing that, yes, I totally know, like, I never have my best training sessions like the week leading up to
Yeah.
getting my period. Like, and I just know that about myself. But I will say something, my best races, like even in running, were like if on like day 2 of my cycle or day 3 of my cycle. I think like there's a misconception like when you're on your period that you're not in a good place to perform, but actually like the way your hormones shift right then is like it actually puts you in a place to like perform your best. But yeah, I just try to recognize that if I'm not feeling like if I'm not performing as well as I want, like I know that's like a pattern for me. And I think, going into perimenopause, like there's a lot going on. Like I can't even predict like my cycles as much as I used to be, but I kind of like 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 I said, just like try not to be so hard on myself, I guess, when it comes to that. And I
Yeah.
think, feeling more in those periods of time could be useful too.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. Do you keep a training diary or anything, or like you
Yeah.
mentioned a little bit about also, trying to have that self-belief and not be so hard on yourself? Is there anything you do on the mental side of things, like with your training, um, as well?
Yeah, I try to so all my stuff is like logged in Garmin, and I try to like keep notes of all my training sessions in there. Which I think is helpful. And like I think from also, and this may be a little off topic, but like from a mental standpoint, like having those logs can be so helpful because maybe you're in a spot where you're like not feeling great about yourself, or you're like, man, this is like so hard and I feel like I'm not making progress. And all you have to do is like look back 3 years and see where you are, because that growth is still happening even when you like can't feel it happening. But yeah, the mental aspect has been it's so tough, and I think it's gotten harder for me because I've never won anything like that before. So like I've never felt like that kind of pressure. And like with the marathon, it was just like kind of me against me out there. But then like racing world champs was like, okay, I'm racing to win this. Like this is what's important. So yeah, I've had to like really, really work on that end of things. And I think being a coach too, it's like I love being a coach because I love to be there for my athletes because I've been there, like the highs, the lows, and the everything. So like it means so much to me to like be able to be that person for them to relate to and to come to. And I can look at their training from a more factual standpoint. Which I love, but it also teaches me too, to like sometimes step back and like try to look from the outside in with myself. But
Yeah,
Yeah,
fair. Are
yeah.
you, do you have a coach or are you self-coached? Like, do you?
I do. So I actually have a running coach, and I still work with my strength coach. I guess he
Oh,
would be
cool.
like my HYROX coach. So he does not have like an endurance background or a running background, so that's why I kind of have like a running coach to like program my running. I was actually going to So I worked with a run coach for the marathon for a really long time, but he didn't really have like a HYROX background or anything. So I had to make a switch there. And at first I was like, I'm just gonna program my own running, but I need someone else to just tell, like I have so many other things. I just want someone to tell me what to do and I will go execute it. So yeah, I got a run coach that had more experience in high rocks training, and then I work with I'm actually very blessed because my trainer or high rocks coach, like I work with him in person. Which is so incredibly useful because you get like real time feedback and like someone there to actually like push you. Um, But yeah, I don't self-coach. I don't think I'll ever self-coach.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
just
no,
believe in it so much. Like just having mentors for everything. Like I even have a business mentor for like building my brand and my business. I just believe in it so much because I've seen how like much it's helped me and how far I've grown from having like mentors and coaches in my corner.
yeah, totally. And then is he like, see, I told you you'd like this HYROX thing. When
Yes.
you kept saying, no, I'm going to do marathons.
I
Has he
think he
turned around and
knew.
said, no?
Yeah, he knew. He was like, I knew you'd become obsessed with it. So, but yeah, I actually should have got into it when he first brought it up because it's just getting so competitive. But yeah, I feel like I'm still like this is only my second full season too. So like I still like feel like I have a lot to learn too. But like it's been kind of awesome too because we've both kind of like learned and grown together like through the whole process. And we'll still continue to grow, I guess, as long as I, keep training and racing high rocks. I might throw a marathon in there again at some point, but
It's still on that sub 3, do you reckon?
I felt like I was laying it to rest for a while. Like I was so into this high rocks thing, like that I didn't want to like even think about it. And I don't know, lately I'm like, okay, maybe I do need to go one more time, one more try. With a different perspective, a different mental space, like and just physically different, like which actually scares me because I'm probably almost 20 pounds heavier than I was when I ran my last marathon, but
More
I don't know.
powerful, stronger, yeah.
Try
Yeah.
not to get caught up in that like heavier means slower because I don't think that's necessarily true, but it's always like in the back of your head. But I think I'm stronger. I'm stronger, and that maybe I could finally get that sub 3. So
Yeah.
That'd be super, yeah, super interesting to see whether all the strength training and everything
yeah.
you've done, yeah, pays off. Probably will.
I know. And I was going to ask you, you kind of touched on like feeling a little bit of pressure with the world champs and, that big race. Did you feel the same, or how did you feel in the um regionals? Like, did you manage to soak it all up, or did you feel that like pressure going
I
into a
feel
race
like
like
at
that?
regionals, because it was a doubles race, I feel like, and I feel like even if I had done that solo race, I wouldn't have felt as much pressure. It would have been like, wow, I can't believe I'm here. Like, and I wish I would just like take that same mentality to some of my other races because like I was just like soaking it up. And yeah, I was like extremely nervous and anxious and I had a partner that I didn't want to let down, but that was like one of my best races. I just felt like I found a flow state in that race and I was just there and everything like else was just like quiet. I don't know, it was really awesome and I I guess I didn't feel as much pressure and it felt good and I think it actually helped me like actually race in the moment and not race from like a place of fear because I think that holds me back a lot of time because I'm afraid of like letting myself down, letting other people down. But I was just so happy to be there that it ended up being like one of the best races I've ever had. So
That's cool. Good day
Yeah.
to have a good day.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, they're not all good. So when you have a good
Yeah,
one,
exactly.
feels so good.
And
Like
yeah,
I
high rocks
think
can either
going
be
to her.
good or very painful, can't it? So
Yeah,
have a good
yeah,
day, and that's the world stage. It's pretty epic.
yeah. I think
Yeah.
I turned to Anne after. I was like, I want to do it again." Like right then. And I meant like I wanted to do it again right then. But yeah, I guess I really had fun in that race. So
Yeah. And what was Anna's response?
she didn't want to do it again. She was like, "I know what you mean, but no, I don't want to do it again right now."
Like you're on your own. No, that's really cool. And just we touched on like the kind of fueling a little bit then, but do you take anything during the race, like during that elite race, coming from a marathon background, it's big for obviously you're going for 3 hours fueling throughout.
Yeah.
Do you feel during the HYROX?
Yeah, so I actually, this is crazy. Well, I was actually keto for a long time. It's been like probably several years. So like I never like relied on carbs too much even in my marathon training. That's why I'm kind of like maybe I need to go back and like reevaluate that. But like I think that like zone 2 your body like prefers fat for fuel. So like I could easily get away with like running a long run with barely any fuel. But when I came into HYROX, it was like, oh my gosh, like I have to like reevaluate the way I'm eating because it's so what would they call that? Like you're so dependent on those glycogen stores when you're like pushing heavy sleds plus still trying to like run hard. So like I started adding like more carbohydrates like before my sessions, after my sessions, like inside of my sessions. And now like I eat way more carbs than I ever have before, which is kind of ironic because I came from like a marathon uh background, but for sure, like I will just make sure like if I get up in the morning, like I have a really like oatmeal, like eggs, like maybe honey on it. I try to like, and I tell my athletes the same thing, like stick to the same thing because you don't want any surprises on race day. So it just gets a little more complicated with HYROX too, because if you have like an afternoon race, like you're also having to have like another meal between. So it's usually something very plain, like a protein source and maybe like rice or potatoes. At least like 2 hours before, or like an hour and a half before, so my stomach can digest it. And then I usually grab like I like those honey singer waffles, so I'll eat one of those maybe like as like a little snack, like a half hour before. And then I like the HYROX is it my protein gels? I did the Martins for a while, but what I like about the my protein gels is they have like the electrolytes in them also. So like I'll have one of those like right before the race, maybe even like 5 or 10 minutes before the race. Big on like LMNT, like, but I'm really big on like making sure you're hydrating in the days leading to the race, not just that morning or the day of the race. And a gel pack for like the middle of the race usually carry with me. I've been mad at myself before because like in my solo races I've forgotten to take them or I just like get so focused and I don't want to mess with the packaging that I won't take them. But yeah, especially like the doubles race, it's nice because like when you're not on the row or something, like it's really easy just to like take in the gel. But usually it's like right around that station that I would take another gel in the race. So and training at home, like I've just relied on candy to be honest. Like
Yeah.
because it's so much cheaper. Like you can buy a big bag of like the nerd clusters are my favorite, and I feel like it goes straight to my system. Like if I'm like doing an interval session and I have like 90 seconds to rest, I can just like chew a couple of them and like I feel like the burst of energy right away. So, but yeah, lots of carbs are needed in the sport for sure.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's interesting.
But yeah,
Yeah,
that's super interesting. It'd
yeah.
be so cool to see, like, if you ran a marathon, like
Yeah,
with
just more
carbs
fuel.
now, more fuel,
Yeah.
stronger athlete. I think that would be. It must be like ticking over in your head now, thinking, oh, maybe I
Yeah.
Ray wants you to
now
know.
I want
She
to know.
wants to know.
Yeah. And I don't know that I think there's anything wrong with keto, but like I think where I went wrong was like I'm not an everyday like human. Like I'm someone asking my body to do unhuman things like every single day. So I think there's a big difference between eating healthy and eating for performance. And I think and as a female, like you're always worried about gaining weight and stuff like that. And like, it's just like, it's been so awesome, like over the last couple of years to just kind of like let that go and be like, okay, this is what I care most about, not about like what I see in the mirror or anything like that. And yeah, so I am anxious to see how a marathon will go, like when I'm actually like really like, because I did take gels, but I could have been taking in so much more fuel during those races. And like, So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out with all the growth that I've had over the last couple years. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's like it's all learning, isn't it? And like that's
yeah,
like why we love speaking to different people as well, because everyone has
yeah,
different experiences. They can like bring different things and like raise different topics, and like everyone's just trying to go out and do their best. And I think HYROX has been a really good sport for like seeing loads of different like types of athletes and loads
yeah,
like the women on the like elite 15 field, you know, they all look different, like everyone has
yeah,
like different body shapes, body types, and it's just cool to see everyone aiming for that high performance and like fueling their body
yeah.
to get them there. So yeah.
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 You cannot get away without it in the sport for sure. Like
Yeah.
it is way too demanding on the body.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, well, I'm gonna round up and ask our final question, which is what message or advice would you give to your younger self or the next generation of girls coming up?
I would tell them or her that it's okay to never be satisfied, because that is what is going to make you great. But to also don't forget to just stop and be proud of yourself and really believe in yourself. That would be, yep, that's what I would tell my younger self.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that. I think
Yeah.
it's so true. Strive, but also just, yeah, look at how far you've come. Like you said, with the training diaries, sometimes you just need a little reminder, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for your time. Where can everyone find you, follow your journey, hear about HYROX, how Stockholm goes, if you do another marathon?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram is pretty much where I have everything. It's Run With Your Heart. But it's instead of YOUR, it's UR. And you can just tap on my link tree. I have a few free resources on there. I've done a few master classes. I think I have one on how to build your run for your best high rocks performance. I have one on efficiency and technique and one on strategy. Those are all free. You can get them in my link tree. And I also have like my application there for my one-to-one coaching.
Awesome. Yeah, we will link everything in the show notes so people can find you. And have you got any races before Stockholm, or is Stockholm the next
No.
big one coming up?
Um, yeah, I was gonna do Miami and I backed out of it. Um, I just feel like I don't like to race too much. Maybe because I'm older and like just even like the emotional like ups and downs of the racing. So I ended up not doing Miami, and so I'm just gonna do actually, and I never really do too many sims in training, but I'm gonna do a sim like next weekend. And yeah, Worlds will be the next race, and then I got a stacked fall season set up. So
Yeah, sounds good. Well, huge good luck
Yeah.
for World Champs. And yeah, thank you so much for your time.
yeah, thank you guys for having me on.